Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do PAgTracer of CCNA 2 version 7.6.2.4. PAgTracer configure EtherChannel. Objectives. Part 1, configure basic switch settings. Part 2, configure an EtherChannel with the Cisco PAgP. Part 3, configure an 802.3 AD LACP EtherChannel. Part 4, configure a redundant EtherChannel link. Background. 3 switches have just been installed. There are 3 switches. There are redundant uplinks between the switches. As configured, only one of these links can be used. Otherwise, a bridging loop might occur. However, using only one link utilizes only half of the available bandwidth. EtherChannel allows up to 8 redundant links to be bundled together into one logical link. 8 redundant links bundled together. Here we have 2 links bundled together. In this lab, you will configure Port Aggregation Protocol, PAgP, a Cisco EtherChannel protocol, and a Link Aggregation Control Protocol, LACP, an open standard version of EtherChannel, which can be used by multi-vendor because it is open standard. Before beginning the configuration, review the EtherChannel configuration guidelines and the restrictions listed at the end of this activity. Here, I want to go straight to the configuration. I leave you guys to read these guidelines. It is very important to know that before doing the configuration. Port channel table, there are 3 channel groups. Port channel 1, 2, 3. Okay, ports here are the physical ports that involved in the port channel configuration. Protocol, there are 2 protocols we are going to use to configure the port channel. And port channel 1 use PAgP, and port channel 2 and 3 we use LACP protocol. Instructions: port 1, configure basic switch settings. Assign each switch a host name according to the topology diagram. S1 CLI command line interface. Switch enable configure terminal. So here the host name is still switch. We need to change this host name from switch to S1. So host name capital S1. We're going to do the same thing on S2 and S3. CLI enable configure terminal host name capital S2. S3 CLI enable configure terminal host name capital S3. Okay. Before beginning the link aggregation between switches, verify the existing configuration of the ports that connect the switches to ensure that the ports will successfully join the ether channels. Comments that provide information about the state of the switch ports include: we're going to use these 3 show commands to verify the configuration for each switch. Let's go to S1. Let's go back to the privileged executive mode. From here, we use show command. First, the show interface pipe, space pipe, space pipe, space, include Ethernet. Ethernet is case sensitive, so first letter E is capital. Ethernet. Okay, let's see. On S1, the 4 ports involved in the port channel configurations are F0, 21, 22, G01, G02. So 21, 22, up, connected, G01, G02, up, connected. Good. So next show is show interface status. So 21, 22 is connected. 1 VLAN, 1 autos are duplex and speed. And the G0, G02 connected, VLAN 1, auto, good. The third show is show interface trunk, okay. Show interface trunk, no trunk ports are configured yet. So that means all the switch ports on S1 are still access ports by default. Okay, let's go to S2. Privileged executive mode and show interface space pipe space include Ethernet. Okay, so S2, the interface are G01, G02, F02324, F2324, G02, up, connected, good. The next show is show interface status. 2324, G01, G02, connected, VLAN 1, auto, good. The next show is interface trunk. Still no trunk ports configured, so all the switch ports on S2 are still access port by default as well. So let's see, okay, let's see how about S3. Show interface space pipe space include Ethernet. Okay, on S3 the ports is F021, 22, 23, 24, 21, 22, 23, 24, up, connected, yes, good. And the next show interface status. So F20, 21, 22, 23, 24 connected. VLAN 1 auto, good. The next show is show interface trunk. So no trunk ports configured. So on S3, all the ports are still access ports by default as well. So from this show commands, we know that no trunk ports are configured on all these three switches. So C, configure all ports that are required for the Ether channel as static trunk ports, So we need to configure all these ports as static trunk ports. Let's go to S1. Okay. Here, I'll use interface range. So here the range is F0, 21, 22, G01, G02. Okay, F0, 21, 22, comma, and G01, 02, 2. Okay, so configure all these ports as static trunk ports. So the command we use is switch port mode trunk. Okay, let's verify. Show interface trunk. So here, so now all these four ports change to the trunking. The trunk port, the status trunking, that means all the ports are trunk ports now. Mode on is static trunk. Okay, it's good. Let's go to the S2. So configure terminal interface range. Here the interface range is G01, G02, F0, 23, 24. So F0, 23, 24, come on, G01-2. Okay, so switch port mode trunk. Good. Then verify. Use up arrow, show interface trunk. So all these four ports change to trunk ports. On is static trunk. Good. S3, the interface range is F21, 22, 23, 24, F0, 21-24. Mode trunk. Oh, no. Switch port mode trunk. Okay, let's verify. Show interface trunk. Okay, all these 4 ports are trunk ports on static trunk. Good. If the ports are configured with DTP dynamic auto and you do not set the mode of the ports to trunk, the link do not form trunk and remain access ports. Yes, yeah, we configured them to be trunk ports already. Before that, all the ports are access ports by default. And the default mode 2960 switch is for DTP to be enabled and set. Okay, so part 2, configure an Ether channel with the Cisco PAgP. Note, when configuring Ether channels, it is recommended to shut down the physical ports being grouped on both devices before configuring them into channel groups. Otherwise, EtherChannel misconfig guard may place these ports into a disabled state. The ports and port channels can be re-enabled after EtherChannel is configured. Step 1, configure port channel 1. Port channel 1 here, we're going to configure the first EtherChannel that is created for these activity aggregate ports F021, F022 between S1 and S3. Aggregate F021, 22, 21, 22 between S1 and S3. Configure the ports on both switches as static trunk ports. Yeah, we did it already, static trunk ports. So next we need to do is we need to bundle these 2 links into one logical interface or the Ether channel. On the configuration wise, we are going to aggregate these 2 physical interface F021, 22, 21, 22, and use these 2 physical interface to create a logical interface on it. Let's go. Okay, configure terminal. So we need to aggregate these 2 physical interfaces. So I use interface range. Okay, here. Interface range. Here's F021, 22. F021, 22. Okay, so we're going to use these 2 physical interface to create a logical interface. So it is a fundamental change. And we need to shut down the physical interface first before configuring the logical interface. So shut down. Then we configure the logical interface, use a command channel group 1 mode desirable. Desirable is active. Actively initially start up communication with another switch to negotiate the Ether channel. Okay, here the port channel interface. This port channel interface is the logical interface, which is virtual interface as well. And this logical interface is called port channel 1. Okay, so after the logical interface is created, we need to turn on the physical ports. So no shutdown. And we're going to do the same thing on S3. So configure terminal interface range F0, 21, 22. Shut down physical ports first. Shut down. And to configure logical interface, we use command channel group 1 mode desirable. Desirable is active, remember that. Okay, the port channel 1, this logical interface is created. Then we turn on the physical interface again, so no shutdown. Okay. So here in the message, creating a port channel interface, port channel 1 should appear on both switches. Yes, we saw that. Here, the message, okay. And this interface designation will appear as port channel 1 in command output. What that mean? Okay, I'll show you here. So here the command show interface trunk. Okay, here in this output, we see here port channel 1 is displayed here. Port channel 1 is a logical interface. It replaced the physical interface and displayed here. Look at before, when we use show interface trunk, all the physical ports are displayed here. But after the logical interface is created, on the physical interface F02122, this logical interface replaced that to physical interface and displayed here. At the physical interface, not displayed here anymore. That's it, what it means. Okay, D, configure the logical interface to become a trunk. That means we created the logical interface already. So next is we need to configure this logical interface as a trunk port. So let's go to, so interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel 1. We configure this port channel 1 as trunk port. We use command switch port mode trunk. Okay, good. And we do the same thing on S3. Configure terminal interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel 1. Okay, switch port mode trunk. Okay, we finished this. Next is we need to verify. We use show command, show EtherChannel summary to verify if that port channel 1 works. So let's go to S1. Back to the privileged executive mode, show EtherChannel summary. Okay, here. Group 1, EtherChannel, port channel 1. Here's PO port channel 1. This is 1, not L. Port channel 1, capital SU. Capital S is layer 2. Capital U is in use. Protocol, we use PAgP. Okay, PAgP. The ports is physical ports 21, 22 are included in this logical interface. P is in port channel 1. Good. S3, let's verify. Show EtherChannel summary. It's the same. Group 1, port channel 1, capital SU, layer 2 in use, PAgP protocol we use, physical port 21, 22 are included in the logical interface port channel 1. Here's import channel, good. Here, so if the channel does not come up, shut down the physical interface on both ends of the ether channel and then bring them back again. That's why we shut down the physical interface first before configuring the logical interface. Then turn on that physical ports again. Part 3, configure and 802.3 AD LACP ether channel. Step 1, configure port channel 2. Configure port channel 2. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. The only difference is we use different protocol. On port channel 2, we use LACP protocol. Before, we use PAgP on port channel 1. But they are very similar, just a little bit difference. I'll show you. Okay, S1. Still aggregate to physical ports. This time is G01, G02, because we're configuring port channel 2. So interface range G01-2. Still shut down physical ports first. Okay, then configure logical interface. We use command channel group 2. This time it's 2. Mode. Mode here use active. The mode active is used under the LACP protocol. PAgP we use desirable. Remember that? Desirable is active. So here LACP we use active. Okay, so the logical interface is created, which is called port channel 2. Then we turn on the physical ports, no shutdown. And here, okay, we configure this logical interface as trunk port. So interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel. Port channel 2, this time is port channel 2. Okay, switch port mode trunk. Okay. Then we'll do the same thing on S2. Configure terminal interface range G0, 1, and 2. So shut down first. Then configure logical. We use command channel. Group 2 mode active. Okay. The logical interface configured. Turn on physical interface, no shutdown. And configure the logical interface as trunk. So interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel 2. Oh no, 2. Okay. So switch port mode trunk. All right. So next we need to verify, right? Okay, verify the port channel 2 to see if it's working. We use show EtherChannel summary. Okay, it's good. Group 2, port channel 2, SU capital layer 2 in use LACP protocol. We use physical ports G01, G02 are included in the logical interface port channel 2. Good. Let's go to S1 to verify. So I use up arrow, EtherChannel summary. Okay, channel 2, port channel 2, SU, good. LACP protocol we use, physical ports G01, G02 included in the port channel 2, good. Verified. Okay, part 4, configure redundant EtherChannel link. Step 1, configure port channel 3. Okay, we're going to configure port channel 3. Do the same thing. Okay, configure terminal interface range. This time the interface range is F02324. F02324. Okay. So shut down physical interface, configure logical interface, channel, group 3. This time is group 3. Mode is what? Mode. Look at here, mode. Let's use a space question mark. Okay. So the two modes we can use active and passive because these two modes are used under LACP protocol. So here they ask us on S2, they ask us to use passive. So I type passive. So port channel 3 is configured and no shutdown. Next is configure the logical interface as trunk ports. So interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel 3. Okay. Switch port mode trunk. Good. We did it. Okay, then we do the same thing on S3. Configure terminal interface range F023-24 shutdown physical interface, configure logical interface channel group 3 mode. Okay, this time S3 should be active here because S2 is passive. If passive to passive, the ether channel cannot be formed. That's because the passive will not start up the communication first. Passive is respond to the initial communication. So if both sides waiting for other side to start up communication, passive to passive, so no communication will start up and no ether channel will be formed. So S3 should be active. So active. So logical interface is created. So we no shutdown. Turn on physical interface. No shutdown. Then configure the logical interface as trunk. So interface followed by the logical interface, which is called port channel 3. And switch port mode trunk. Okay. Then we verify. Okay, verify is to verify the show EtherChannel summary. S2 port channel 3 SU good. There are 2 in use. LACP protocol we use. Physical ports 23, 24 are included in the port channel 3 in port channel. That's good. And S3 EtherChannel summary. Okay, port channel 3. There are 2 in use. LACP protocol we use. Physical ports 23, 24 are included in the logical interface port channel 3. Okay. Okay. Step 2, verify. Yeah, we verified already. Okay, and create EtherChannel link. Links does not prevent the spanning tree from detecting switching loops. View the spanning tree status of the active ports on S1. On S1, let's go to show spanning tree active. Show spanning tree active. So on S1, there are 2 port channel, these 2 logical interface. Port channel 1 is this one, port channel 1. Okay, which is a root port, and data is forwarding, cost is 9. At port channel 2, this logical interface includes the gigabit ports, okay? It's alternated, state is blocking. Okay, the cost is 3. Let's see. Yeah, because gigabit ports is lowercase, they're faster Ethernet ports. Okay. Here, the port channel 2, okay, here port channel 2 is not operative because spanning tree protocol placed some ports into blocking modes. Yes, this port is blocking. Unfortunately, those ports were the gigabit ports. In this topology, you will restore these ports by configuring S1 to be primary routes for VLAN 1. You could also set the priority to 24,576. What that mean? Yeah, in the practice, we'd better use gigabit ports as a forwarding ports because the gigabit ports has a lower cost and faster than the fast Ethernet. But here, these gigabit ports are blocking, so we need to restore this interface from blocking to forwarding state. And what we need to do this is we need to, here they ask us to change S1 to be a root bridge. Let's see here. S1, look at it. S1, this is S1's priority number, which consists of this default priority plus 1. This one is a VLAN 1 ID number. So this default priority number is 32,768 plus 1, and this priority is S1's priority number. And look at this priority. This priority is root bridge priority, 32,769, which is the same as the root S1's priority. So that means all these three switches should have the same priority number. Let's see, S1 show spanning tree. So S2's priority number is the same as S1, 32,769 as a root. So S2 is not a root bridge as well. It doesn't show, it doesn't say S2. So S3 should be the root bridge. Let's see. Yeah, here S3 is root bridge. Here, this bridge is root. And S3 has the same priority number as S1 and S2, 32,769. Okay, we studied spanning tree protocol. When we studied spanning tree protocol, we learned the root bridge selection. The first step in the process of root bridge selection, the first step is to select the switch with the lowest priority number. We choose the switch with the lowest priority number as the root bridge. But here, these three switches have the same priority number. So we go to the second step, which is to use the MAC address as the deciding factor to select the switch with the lowest MAC address as the root bridge. So here, the root bridge S3, the MAC address should be the lowest MAC address. Here's a 0001, and S2 is 0009. So 9 is bigger than 1. So, and how about S1? S1's MAC address is 0008. A is bigger than 9, all right? Because MAC address use hexadecimal number. The number is start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, no 10. After 9 is A, B, C, D, E, F. F is the last number. So A is bigger than 9. So S1 has the biggest MAC address number. So S1 cannot be the root bridge. Okay, but here we need to change S1 to be the root bridge. What we can do? We cannot change the MAC address, but we can change the priority number. Okay, so here they give us two commands we can use to change S1's priority number. Let S1 become the root bridge. That's because we need to restore this interface from blocking to forwarding. These two commands are the same meaning or the same effect, just different expression. So the first command is configure S1 spanning tree VLAN 1 root. Root is a root bridge. So directly configure S1 as a root bridge with the primary. The primary is a primary priority number. This priority number is 24,576. And the second command is directly to change S1's priority number to be this number. This is a primary priority number. Okay, let's go to do it. I choose the first one, first command. So configure terminal spanning tree VLAN 1 root primary. Okay. So from here, let's show again the spanning tree. Okay. So now S1 become the root bridge, and its priority number changed to 24,576 here. The +1 become this. Okay, and the port channel 2, the states change to lessening. Okay, and let's go again. So forwarding, change to forwarding. So this port channel light turn green. That means this port restored from blocking to, here's a blocking, change to the forwarding. There are 4 steps from blocking, lessening, lowering, and forwarding. Okay, and the new blocking ports change to the port channel 3 on S3 now. So from here, we can see that priority number is configurable. By changing the priority number, we can change the spanning tree path and change the root bridge selection. So here completion status is 100%. That means we successfully configured EtherChannel. Okay, thank you for watching my video. If you like my video, please thumbs up and subscribe my channel, leave comments, and share with your friends. See you next time.